Welcome back to Life on the Rock. We're joined tonight by Tim Van Damm, and we interrupted your conversion story. So what happened? You got out of college, you're kind of floating around a little bit?
Yeah, so I was very active, and I was running this group, but in a lot of ways not all the way there yet. Catholic, but not that Catholic. Yeah. And I got to a point in life where I thought I had everything wrapped up in a nice, neat bow. I had bought a house. I had my own business. I had the girl that I was going to marry. I had a nice car. I had, a dog. I had all these things. And within a week and a half, the girl was gone. My employee, my one and only employee, was gone. I crashed my car. Someone smashed the window of my car. I lost a couple of big deals that I was waiting on.
It's a regular country music.
It was just like, yeah.
What happened to the dog?
The dog trashed my house. The same night I crashed my car.
The dog is now dead. Which is why she left.
That's right. But I hit kind of this crisis, and I just said, right when I thought nothing could get any worse, it kept getting worse. And so I had gone, a couple of years prior, I had gone away to Jamaica on a mission trip with the Oblates, and there was this woman there that really we were kind of knocking heads. And so I decided to start praying for her and kind of go out of my way to do something nice for her every day that I was there. And the ironic thing is, after that, we became friends. And so she was this, the most devout woman I could think of. She was kind of discerning to being a sister at the time. And so I called her up and I said, listen, I need you to pray. I had this intention, and I said, I want you to pray, and I'm serious. Because I wanted to call somebody that wouldn't just tell me that they were praying for me, but that would really pray. And so she met me that night.
So you didn't call a priest?
I didn't call a priest, no.
But that's interesting that you would say that. Someone who you knew would, because it is easy for us to say, would you pray for me? Oh, of course I will, of course I will.
Right. I wanted someone that's going to actually pray.
Yeah, you knew that the commitment was there.
That's right. And so we met up, and then she said, I'm going to start a mass novena for you. And so I'm going to start, 9 days of petition, 9 days of Thanksgiving. I'm going to start tomorrow morning. I think it would be a good thing for you to start going for the 9 days, at least the first 9 days. And so I said, okay. And I went the next morning, and I started going to daily mass. And it was like miracles just started happening, like one after the next, to the point that a week to the day, I was sitting down with Father Bill Brown, who was the provincial at the time, a good friend. We went out to dinner, and I said, what is going on? I said, I feel like I'm turning into like a religious nutbag. What's happening with me? And he starts laughing at me. He's like, yeah, this is how God works. I'm like, well, he never worked that way for me. I said, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And it's really been just this wild ride since then. And then, I was introduced to the rosary. I had to go. The first time this woman chased me out of church and gave me a rosary, I had to go back to my office. I never forget, I had to print out how to pray the rosary. I didn't know any of the mysteries. So I'm like reading it and praying it, and then I put it in my drawer, and then somebody else reintroduced it, and so I started praying the rosary every day. And then, Doug mentioned earlier that the apparitions, and that was a big part of my story too, because I heard about, Kibeho was the first one, and I started reading the science and what was happening, and people, just all of these wild things, and I never had any interest in any kind of Marian apparitions, nothing. And I started reading about that, and I started reading about Fatima and other apparitions, and I said, I believe that this is happening, that this happened, this is true. There's too many people who wanted nothing to do with this, who are trying to disprove it, who are now believers. I believe this is true. So if Our Lady is appearing, I want to know what she's saying. And when I started seeing what she was saying, what does she talk about? Every place she appears, she talks about the Eucharist, she talks about confession, she talks about the rosary, praying, reading scripture, fasting, all things that I would go to confession maybe once a year before Christmas or something like that. And so I really started to take her messages literally and started to put them into practice in my life, and that changed everything.
And when you start praying the rosary, right, things start to happen, right?
Yeah, that's right.
However, you had a funny expression for that. I forgot what that was.
I said, if you want a wild ride, pray the rosary.
Right.
And the rosary is one of those things where I always think, well, it's for little old ladies. That's not a man's thing. Yeah. And then when I look at it, it's a spiritual weapon. And there's promises attached to the rosary. The first thing that really got me to pray the rosary was the person that gave it to me said, if you pray this, you will have peace. And it was 100% true. I prayed the rosary, and I felt peace.
Right.
And I started asking with real faith, and things started happening. One of my friends, when I first started, I was doing the Boston Catholic Men's and Women's Conferences, and one of the guys that was connecting me with this, he says, yeah, the rosary is kind of like putting on a pair of spiritual glasses. You know, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I didn't know this was here.
Right.
And you start to see things for what they really are.
It really is. I think Sister Lucia said this. It's a solution to all our problems. Not in the sense that you play the country music song backwards and you get everything back.
Yeah.
But you know, you have this peace in your life. You have this closeness with God. And I like the connection, because I had the kind of similar thing in my life with the apparitions and of Our Lady, and you say, man, God exists. He really exists. What's he saying? But it's also a connection with adoration. You know, God is not just a symbol. You know, it's not just something I'm projecting from my mind or a group of us believe. He's really there in that adoration chapel in the Eucharist, right?
That's right.
And I can go before him
That's
and
right.
pray and thank him and ask him for whatever, you know.